Content warning. This podcast contains bones, blood, smut, and swear words.
Hello, and welcome to the Frontline Fifth. This week, we are not a Locked Tomb podcast, but instead a space rebel zombie podcast. Pew, pew, pew! Our dear co-host John is unavailable due to sentient potato-related duties, and so this week, Marie, Hannah, and I, Brooke, are doing a movie review instead. You're welcome, listener.
I think it's going to be good. We got to get our listeners used to the Alectopause anyway. I honestly thought that the fourth book was going to come out in October of this year, but now that we know that it's probably coming out a year later, they're going to get a lot of this. We promise it'll be fun.
Imagine, Earth could no longer sustain our numbers, so we found a new solar system of planets and moons, and we've made them inhabitable. This system is ruled by a central body, and the outer planets are occupied by savages that refused the alliance. I mean, you'd be absolutely forgiven for thinking that we were describing the Locked Tomb world, but in fact, this is the world of Firefly. And today's movie review is for the 2005 series-clinching movie, Serenity.
An absolute icon. I know we're going to get into some deets about the movie itself, but this first monologue where they're basically saying exactly what Brooke just said, I'm sitting there being like, nuh-uh. And I had to remind myself, I was like, no, this is kind of just a central trope of dystopias and like sci-fi dystopias. This idea of some sort of the evil empire and the rebellion, you know, kind of is always a thing. But it was just like very funny listening to the opening monologue. I was like, and this is exactly the rhetoric that the ninth house is teaching for sure in their fucked up little schools.
I immediately was so disturbed because I was like, Nathan Fillion looks so young. And then I was like, that's because this movie was 20 years ago. And I first watched it like 15 years ago.
Well, I also, so I am currently rewatching Castle. So I
love Castle.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there cutting back and forth in my head between Castle, where he's still fairly young, but then this baby face.
I know.
Nathan Fillion.
Honestly, the difference is it's only like 5 years apart in between this movie and Castle, and yet it seems like he's aged 15 years.
Yes, it really does. And I mean, for so many reasons. And also, like, Castle has so many fun little Easter egg references to Firefly, and it gives me real joy. It's really clear that Nathan Fillion loved Firefly, that this was something that actually his heart was really in.
It's his defining role, right? I mean, he is at his absolute peak.
Yes.
As the scar-crusted, swaggering anti-hero. But let's move beyond that, because more than Nathan Fillion, this movie is peak Morena Baccarin, Gina Torres, Summer Glau, Jewel State. This is a movie where the women are the stars and men are baggage.
I'm sorry.
Poor decisions left and right.
How could everybody in this movie be so fucking hot? Because it was also Chiwetel. What is? I'm gonna butcher his name. Chiwetel. Chiwetel? I don't know.
Chiwetel.
There we go. Chiwetel. There it is. Chiwetel Ejiofor. I can do the last name. His first name, I'm like, I don't remember where this dress is. God, that man.
Yes.
Does something for me.
Yes. And I'm
like, and he does not look different to me at all.
No. I think low-key though, he may be a vampire. He is one of those people who not only doesn't age, but also has this like eternal, ageless, like infinite, like he's been around for too many centuries and he's seen too much.
The ageless face trope is one that I absolutely love too, and there aren't very many people that have it. I feel like Meryl Streep is one who has it.
Yeah. Although she always perpetually looks 55.
Yes.
That's true. Even when she was like 20.
A young 55. Yeah, a young 55, but even when she was 20, she looked 55. Like hot. But yeah.
55.
I also, so I hear you, Brooke, that like the women are fantastic in this, but you know what it is? Alan Tudyk is
Alan
the
Tudyk,
single greatest.
Always.
He's the single greatest instance of comic relief. Like, I think he should be a side character in 100% of movies. Every movie could benefit from Alan Tudyk being a side character. Like,
one of my favorite videos on the internet is him doing every single one of his voices. They're just like, can you do the mayor from whatever?
Did you know that he is Hey Hey in Moana?
Yes! That is one of my favorite videos.
And there's this amazing video on the internet. It's just him just like voicing some buck, 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 buck. And then he like laughs and looks at the camera and goes, I went to Juilliard.
Yes. I love that. He's a great video,
my God. You talk about people who you would want to meet, who you'd want at your, like, you know, imaginary dinner party. He is one of them for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like he would be a good listener as well as comic relief. Anyway, it's not just that these people are at their peak of hotness, of comedy. I was shocked on this rewatch at how good the acting was, because I think of this as a little bit of a silly, over-the-top series.
Yeah, me too.
And I was genuinely shocked. Yeah. For instance, Chiwetel... okay, we're going to just call him the operative because that's his character name.
Chiwetel.
The operative. He is referred to as the operative throughout this.
Exquisite. He's wonderful. I really thought that he was...
He's the only one that didn't make bad decisions left and right amongst the men.
I mean, he starts out on a flawed premise. Yes.
I'm not saying they were morally good decisions.
They just weren't mistakes.
Anyway.
Fair enough.
Anyway, I think it's worth talking about. I just learned when we were preparing for this podcast that Joss Whedon apparently absolutely sucks as a person.
Yeah.
And I guess the reason that he has stopped making material in the past decade or so is because nobody wants to work with an absolute abusive asshole who, in particular, hypocritically targets his female actors.
Yes, this is clear.
Fuck him for that.
So there's been, I mean, so you were mentioning before we started recording that Gal Gadot has also said some stuff about this. The one I know about in detail is Charisma Carpenter. And not only was he a giant raging asshole to her, he also fired her basically for being pregnant. So like, the misogyny is real and deep with him, and it is unbelievably tragic because he is the king of one-liner zingers. And he has made
creating female powerful figures throughout all of his work. Like, this is Buffy, this is Firefly, these are feminist icons.
I think so too. I don't know if you've seen Dollhouse, but I really think Dollhouse is brilliant. And so it's such a shame because I really feel that he's an unusual writer and director. He's created some really weird and cool and campy things that are deep icons. And I hope, in a weird way, I kind of hope we do a Dr. Horrible sing-along blog, which is one of my all-time favorite anythings. Have you guys seen this?
Oh, no idea what you're talking
never
about.
Heard of it.
All right, dear listeners, because I know some of you know Dr. Horrible sing-along blog, I am going to force the rest of my cast to watch it. We're gonna do Dr. Horrible sing-along blog. It's done. It should be done. Done.
I find things like this, and like this could be the entire rest of the podcast, could be this thing about the way that misogyny is so like weird and like pervasive.
Yeah.
It's this thing of there is one way to be a woman, and it is however a man thinks you should be. And so Joss, like that's this weird,
I think you're right.
Hypocrisy. It feels like hypocrisy, but it's not. It is consistent, where you can be an absolute abusive asshole to specifically your female talent, because you have this one vision of what a woman is, and they have to be that fantasy version because real women don't deserve anything unless they correspond to this fantasy version of what a woman is. And so you can have this thing where it lines up with what feels powerful and what feels empowering, but it is actually yet another trap, and that is misogyny.
Yes, it's totally true. I mean, this goes along honestly with America Ferrera's like Barbie monologue, just like the need to hold these dualities, and you're always holding them for other people, and you're always supposed to feel grateful for being allowed into the space, grateful that this douchebag has created this powerful character for you. And it's clear that Joss Whedon adores unbelievably skinny women. That also is a product of the time period. A lot of his stuff is in the 2000s, which really
it's coming back, though.
this. I know.
Comes around, goes around.
And it also is clear that he loves a martial artsy, white woman who is very, very thin and a very dancer-like grace. Right?
Which I wonder how much of that is a product of the time because he was so influential.
That's true. It's a circle.
It wasn't just him though, but this is like also around the same time as Kill Bill and all of that.
Yes.
Kill Bill and Lucy Liu and
God, I love Lucy Liu so much. Anyway, so I totally, it is very clear that Joss Whedon is a giant douchebag, and we should know that. We should walk into it with our eyes open. I also think that the worlds that he created were beautiful. I think he's a really, really interesting writer. I don't know.
I think that we should look at this as inspiration for what we want to see more of, but actually we can go further. These women don't have to be perfect.
Yes. Let's make them more complicated. Yeah. I'm all in. I do love many of these shows. I loved Buffy. I'm very glad we're doing Serenity. So
I'm a sucker for an overpowered female character. So I absolutely loved all of these early 2000s female heroines, especially ones that did ninja stuff. So this is in my lexicon. So maybe, I don't know, instead of renting it off Amazon, which is also giving money to Jeff Bezos, buy a DVD player. Use disc sets. If this is honestly, with everything that came out during Me Too, if it infiltrated my favorite corners of TV, you're probably going to get some mileage on the DVD player.
Yep.
I mean this sincerely. We actually did watch it on DVD because I have Serenity on DVD. That's what we did.
There you go.
Because I'm obsessed with DVDs. And I would like to share. Okay, so two things. One, I watched this movie and this rewatch with two of my very best friends in the world who are visiting me right now. They're good friends of Brooke and Marie as well. And the entire time, one of them, who is just an eternal troll, is just the whole time making commentary. And I desperately wanted him to come on the podcast. I encouraged him to come on the podcast, even though I was like, we might get canceled. It would have been worth it.
Way too shy.
But so he's in my head. I'm going to try and bring some Berto into it. Hi, Berto, if you ever listen to this. We'll see. One thing before we actually start, I do want to ask you guys, so Serenity, as we're going to see, is associated, the movie associated with Firefly, which was the show that didn't run very long. It ran 13 episodes, but it was really beloved, and it became had a cult following. So they made this movie. I watched the movie before I watched the show. Did you guys have that experience?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yes,
I think I watched
did.
the show first.
I
don't remember anymore.
Genuinely think it's remarkable that this was able to be something that you could really love without watching the show or with watching the show. Because I feel like most of the time when you have a movie associated with the show, either the diehard fans hate it because it's not close enough, or the new people are like, I don't understand what the fuck's going on because there's not enough information. And this really rides the line beautifully.
I think objectively, I think that's what's you said you did watch the movie first, right?
I did.
A long time ago. I recall thinking it was kind of cool, but I also recall not really understanding it. And I do think that it inspired me to go watch the series and then rewatch the movie, basically, to get a better sense for what happened.
I think maybe I'm just a sucker for the style where they drop you in, like all of Tamsin Muir, where she's true. Like, fuck you, figure it out.
You are. You are.
Yeah,
right.
and I think that I had the experience of trying to remember what had happened, because again, for me, it's 15 years ago that I watched the series.
I've rewatched this a few times.
And I haven't rewatched it since then. So there were things
what a delight.
Where there were things where I was like, oh, I remember sort of some of these things so far, but I don't remember anything about why we had Summer and her brother on there. I do remember the thing with Callie. And then once we ran into, I forget what the character's name again
Shepard.
is. No, not I didn't remember anything
Inara?
about Shepard. Inara, yeah. Once we ran into an Inara again, I was like, oh, I remember that tension.
Yep.
Yes. That's kind of what I
them.
mean is you kind of run into the old crew, and I think if you're coming from outside that context, you don't understand it. So I do
for what it's worth, it worked for me.
There's a lot of there's a lot of stuff. You're just yes, Morena Baccarat.
Well, that was basically, I was their tension was so palpable that I was like, I understand. This is a long-term back and forth. I don't need to see it. I feel it.
Gotcha. Right.
Okay.
All right, let's go. Let's do it.
This is the setting for Serenity. It is after the main Firefly series. It was indeed canceled prematurely after Fox apparently botched its launch by airing the first few episodes out of order. I don't know who the hell does that.
No, are you serious? That's
Yes.
devastating. This was just like an accident that it got canceled early? Because
No, it wasn't an accident. It was just
but
bad
because
decisions.
they did such a bad job with it, it's not a
they
question.
botched it.
Oh my God.
No. Yeah, it was really well watched even once it came out. But like it would have been even more insanely well watched, I expect, if they had like put it out in the way that it was intended to be. I guess like I don't know. I read the Wikipedia and like I guess like the first episode was actually a two-parter and they were like, no, we don't do two-parters for like a first pilot episode. So we're putting like the third episode as the first one or something. Whatever.
That's insanity.
But they were expecting to do the same thing that you like, which is just drop in the world and love it. And like that didn't
but you
work
can't
for most
always.
people.
You have to prepare for that. It has to be with intention. Sure. Okay. All right. Tell
Right.
me about the crew,
so
Brooke.
In that show is when we like originally meet the crew of a Firefly's class. It's what they call it, a Firefly class spaceship. And its name is Serenity, which is where we get the name of the movie. So we have on this ship the captain, who's known as Mal, short for Malcolm, played by Nathan Fillion, and his first mate Zoe. These two are both former soldiers in a rebel war against the Central Alliance forces. We have the ship's pilot, who we call Wash. This is Alan Tudyk and is Gina Torres's in-film husband.
And adorable.
We also have our comedic relief throughout the whole thing. He's got plastic tiny dinosaurs. I don't think he was playing with them in this movie, but he plays with them in the show. Is that what it is?
In the show, yeah.
Yeah, he's very funny. We have Jane, who is the ship's like jumpy and thick-skulled armsman,
who is
a lot of
played by Adam Baldwin, who is the best Baldwin. Why do we not talk about Adam Baldwin? He's fucking wonderful.
He's funny too.
He's the best Baldwin.
He's
have also
Kaylee.
Very hot in this.
I mean, it's just muscles.
Everyone is, though.
We have Kaylee, who is the quirky ship mechanic, who says shiny a lot.
Kaylee's the one I had a massive crush on.
Me
She's
too,
so
actually.
cute.
She's very cute.
And she's like, actually, it's surprising. She's like, I guess in the show is particularly sex positive between the fact that Inara, who we aren't going to meet for a while in this movie, is a like consort. She's a professional consort, basically. Or what do you call them? Professional concubine? What do they call them? I don't remember what they call them in this. She's a sex worker, a very fancy, highly paid one. And then Kaylee basically just has the hots for Simon the entire time and is just trying to jump him like the entire show.
Yes, so hard.
And I don't even think it's necessarily romantic. I literally think she just
wants to jump him. But it's also particularly like that's part of the comedic relief. It's because she's just like so cute and sweet, and she seems like very innocent. And it's like, she's one of these like
she would like to fuck.
Again. She would like to fuck. But this is another one of those, like, I kind of side eye it now because it's very definitely one of the, it's like I'm not like, what am I trying to say? I'm not one of those kind of girls. Right? I'm not that kind of girl. What am I trying to say?
I know
what you're trying to say. But I will push back on this.
It's not quite that. It's not quite that.
I have such a rant about the like pushback against the manic pixie dream girl because actually some people are just quirky and it was actually really nice to see really quirky people.
Yes, but she isn't deliberately like one of those. She isn't deliberately that trope, but she is a little bit of which is true a lot of the times, but like the fantasy of somebody who seems like very sweet and cute and whatever, but the sexuality is going to be reserved like super freaky just for you.
Yeah.
So like, moderately, I like can feel like the edges of it of like
sci-fi version of that.
It's funny, but it feels super dated to me.
A little bit.
Yeah.
No, I hear you.
And and they decide to deal with it in this movie in ways that are irritating, but here we are. And speaking of, so we do have the ship's temporary medical doctor, Simon, and his sister, River. And the movie is really opening on River's history before she arrived on the ship.
But before we start that, it is important to me, dear listener, that you know that we have two friends from grad school who have children that share names with characters in this movie.
I didn't realize
two of
this.
them. Okay? And they're not the ones you think. That's all. That's all. Not the ones you think.
Okay. So anyway, River has been an experimental test subject of brainwashing by the Alliance, and they have successfully turned her into both a psychic and a physical weapon, which is, by definition, fully overpowered.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Like, actually, I mean, and we see this at the end, but once you really think about the end of this movie, you're like, why did we ever use anything other than River? We should just, like, shooshel River off of the ship every time there's trouble and be like, see you later, honey.
I'll tell you why, because it's come at the cost of her sanity.
That's true. I mean,
so in the opening,
we hold that loosely on this podcast.
So in the opening scenes of Serenity, where we get to witness her brother Simon rescue her from torture and captivity in this facility where she's been held and been undergoing like sleep torture, and brainwashing, and very quickly
with like a super creepy like probe like right in the center of her skull, so that you can have like this really awful visual.
What part of the brain's there? Is there a useful part of the brain there for like?
But it's
that's
upsetting
where all your
to see.
decision making is. Yeah, it's like mine. Like it's just so that it's upsetting, so that she has this dripping blood red hole from like her third eye.
Yeah.
Whenever like creepy shit happens.
But it almost it is
like,
actually really
because she has
scary.
the eyes that can like do like the crazy stare.
She does.
Like, she could be in horror movies.
Yeah, she's giving a little bit of the girl from the like girl from The Ring. But in that moment when she's in the facility and she has this like long stick spike going straight into her head, and she looks like a butterfly pinned to a corkboard, and there's something about it that really like is frightening. And Simon is there. He's like snuck into the facility to break her out under the guise of some sort of inspection, right? And it is upsetting no matter what, but it was so much more upsetting watching this after having watched Firefly, because at the time I watched it the first time, I did not know at that moment that he was her brother. And the idea of seeing your little sister like pinned to a corkboard in this, it was horrible. Anyway.
Yeah, he's pretty stoked about it. And in the end, it's a little unclear why she ends up needing rescuing, because she's a fucking ninja and the security in this place sucks.
But
yeah.
Yes.
But it's super secret.
Super secret.
And it's cool that Simon has like, Simon, who is not a warrior, bless him, has like really made this incredible effort to come and break his sister out, because fuck these people.
Yeah, he's all brains, no brawn. So we are seeing this scene actually through a simulation, it turns out. There's an operative of the Alliance has been watching this simulation, and he meets up with the clinician who was in charge of River and goes, it was kind of dumb of you to put key members of Parliament in the same room as a psychic. Like, what sort of precious information did she glean from them?
Want to know the worst part of this, though, is that I would never have thought of that. Like, I absolutely would have been this fucking, idiot scientist showing off the, like,
I don't know that that's true. I think you would have considered the implications of creating a psychic.
Consider the implications.
But, yes. So the operative deems this to be a failure. It is the sin of pride, and the punishment is death.
And then he gives this whole little monologue. I mean, it's a beautiful little monologue about, do you know what your sin is, doctor? And then the idea that there were times when people would fall on their sword. It's an honorable
and the
death.
clinician is trying to like bull his. I actually like, this is one of my notes. The operative or the clinician says, "Well, I forgot to bring my sword."
And the operative's like,
and the operative's like, "Don't worry, I brought one for you." So
exactly. That's like literally what's in my notes. Is like, "That's okay, use mine."
That was exactly. Actually, this whole movie would be truly funny to like redub with various parts like this, because it is it's so serious, but it's just so fucking. It's like,
take away the poetry.
By crazy random happenstance, I happen to have one right here. I just want to say that the other thing that's like really beautiful and deeply eerie here is the acting for the operative and the degree to which the operative believes. And that'll be a theme in this. You really see him. He's trying to make a better world. And the way to do that is for you to fall on your fucking sword.
And so the operative is consoling him as right after disabling his spinal nerves so that he falls directly on top of the sword, positioned perfectly underneath him. That there is no shame in his death, that their work and their deaths as well are part of making all the worlds better.
It is a good death.
And now he's going to go find our river and kill her to prevent whatever she knows from getting out there. All for the better of the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just has to happen. So enter Serenity and crew. We get this great country jig that merges into some epic interstellar orchestral strings.
I love the
and
music.
And then screech! The primary buffer panel has fallen off the ship and they are careening through space. The landing is expected to go terribly, and the captain gets on the line to warn the crew. We may experience some slight turbulence and then explode.
I just feel like it's such a wonderful introduction to the dynamics of the crew. You know right away who's in charge, but you also really know how like silly all of them are, and also the degree to which they live on the edge of falling apart. You've just watched this scene that's very serious, and then the shift in dynamic towards this humor is so delightful.
It's good. The pilot, Wash, is an utter expert, and they land it beautifully, despite missing the primary buffer panel.
Who needs
and they're
it?
on a planet to do a job. They are doing a job of thieving a private security firm's cash pile. And the crew for the job is Captain, Zoe, Jane, and River. And River's brother Simon is pissed that his unstable sister is being taken out for a job, but Captain Mal is very clear. There are no free rides, and rides for fugitives of the Alliance are particularly expensive, so she's going to have to work. And a psychic's kind of useful in these situations.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense, actually. I mean, you talked about her being OP. If they had used her on every job in the TV show, the jobs would have been real boring. Because
Exactly. I think it took them a while to figure it out, but yeah. So they jump the people in the building that contains the vault. They come in guns blazing. And she uses her psychic powers to identify some guy with a gun so that Zoe can get to him first. And she has this great line. She goes, "You know what the definition of a hero is? It's someone who gets other people killed. You can look it up later." And I was just like, she is the Pyrrha of this movie.
Dude, she is. She absolutely is the Pyrrha. Well, except that, okay, also Mal is the Pyrrha of this.
Yes, we'll get to that. Yeah. We're about 2 lines away from where I come to that, yes.
But I do really I just want to shout out, I really love River. So I think Summer Glau does a beautiful job of River. She is, and this is something actually Berto brought up while we were watching.
She's our Nona, huh?
In many ways, actually. She's Edge of Sanity, super OP, but she is so broken that she can't totally use her powers. It's complicated. She's got a lot of childlike nature. Berta brought up that you really could not cast anyone in this who wasn't a dancer. The way she moves is so incredibly graceful, and it's a really important part of her. And she is playing this super damaged, crazy, out of it, unable to connect with reality person, but also she has a couple moments where she's so fucking funny. And the moment when she identifies the guy on the floor with the gun, and she looks at Zoe and nods to him, and Zoe does this him kind of face, and River is I don't know how to explain this on a podcast because it's just her face. She just has this head nod yeah, I fucking told you. She's uh-huh. And it just makes me laugh really hard.
Not lying. I really like Zoe, though. I think she
adore Zoe.
Probably is one of my favorite characters, and she could use some growth scenes. We'll get to it. But they do find a really big fancy vault in this place. It's hidden behind a dummy vault that's storing just a couple of cents, at which Zoe goes, "At last, we can retire and give up this life of crime." And the secret authorization passcode to get past it is a rain of bullets. Obviously.
That is lovely. I mean, you need Jane to jump in somewhere. They're like, "What's the passcode?" Jane fires down into the vault, and he's like, "That'll work."
But just at that moment, our psychic River has a new premonition. Or rather, she detects an immediate presence, which I would argue is not the same nor nearly as helpful. But Reavers are descending. So,
dun, dun,
Reavers
dun.
present as some sort of a version of a zombie, but they have the distinction of being alive.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So their faces are super bloodied up. Jane says at some point that he thinks they carved them out themselves in between their raping and cannibalizing, etc., etc. Kaylee posits that their insanity is born of some sort of terrible existential breakdown that they get from being so lonely at the edge of space. River lets us know at some point that she's reading their minds and, quote, they want us alive when they eat us.
It's so fucking, it's horrifying.
Yeah, so what would you call these? Like, in generic terms, sci-fi fantasy?
They have incredible overlap with zombies. I think that is fair. They eat people alive. They are really like scary fast zombies, a la 28 Days Later, not a la, Dawn of the Dead. They also are just what it's giving also is this dystopia trope. Yeah. So it's this dystopian trope where people, once society is dead, become cannibals. Like, it's a very specific sci-fi trope where you get it in The Road, and you get it in, I'm not going to be able to come up with it, but there's lots of other ones like this. This thing of self-mutilation is actually kind of unusual. And this thing also of decorating their ships with dead bodies, like mutilating the bodies of others, is also, it's really viscerally horrifying. I am not sure there's a direct correlate elsewhere.
And smear the blood all over, supposedly, is what's happening. Yeah, pretty gross. Our team does manage to escape with their stolen goods. There is, unfortunately, a guy who tries to hitch a ride on their, like, little hovercraft, but Mal knocks him off because he says they can't handle the weight, and pity shoots him as the Reavers get to him.
Which is, I mean, dead on Pyrrha, right? It's this thing where simultaneously he feels like he needs to protect just his people, and he also still is not as stone-hearted as he wishes he was, as he feels he needs to be. And so he's going to give the only solace he can, which is a good death.
Yep. And there is this discussion between Zoe and Mal later on about, like, the morality of kicking this guy off. Yeah. And what is Zoe says, in the time of war, we would have never left a man stranded. And Mal says, maybe that's why we lost. And so, like, there is this, like constant, like, back and forth on, like, what is good versus what is right. So, and I think those actually also feels like
such a pure, you're absolutely right. I'm so glad you identified this. It feels like a very pure line. This, like, maybe that's why we lost. This, like, we had ideals and they still live in me, and you need to tamp them down. Just do. Don't think. Don't feel, because you can't afford to. Did you guys?
But, like, in the end, having a hard time doing it, because we do realize, like, later we hear on a news report that, like, the only other people who survived this massacre on this planet were those who locked themselves in the vault, which was completely at Mal's, like, direction.
Yes.
And so, like, this is another thing where safety is still a priority, and when it's practical and it makes sense, it works. It happens. The direction's going to be given.
No, you're totally right. Did you guys notice who the guy is that Mal kicks off of their little speeder and then shoots?
It was the gun guy that River pointed out, but do you know the actor? Is that what you're saying?
It is Glenn Howerton, who plays Dennis on It's Always Sunny. It's like his first real role is guy eaten by Reavers, and I fucking love it so much. It makes me
is that
really.
How he's credited?
No, but in my head it is. In my heart of hearts it is. There are so many fucking, like, little sneaky. We'll get Sarah Paulson later, and it blew my mind when I realized it was Sarah Paulson. Anyway, okay, I'm done now.
Anyway, so our team does escape. They've got some, like, fancy trick flying. Only one harpoon hits some flesh. There's a lot of harpoons in this series. And they fly to Beaumont to finish their job. Yeah, it's a vibe. It's definitely a vibe of
also, like, the whole thing of, like, really, his leg being speared, and then, like,
holding on.
Like, I was like, if that had actually happened, his leg would be shredded and gone.
Ship. I don't want to hear about the gore. I love fantasy gore where it's just idealist.
Bones, blood, smut, and swear words.
Yeah, but also, like, the shooting the rope, I'm like, I mean, sure.
It's great. It's a great scene. Everybody's safe at this point. So they fly to Beaumont to finish their job. And this is such a cool freaking set. It's like this cool urban space station. The way that the ships dock, it's like they get, like, grabbed out of space by, like, the claw and, like, brought back into. And it's like this ring of claws that are grabbing, like, ships out of the air and then docking them. And I was like, this is so cool.
I don't know what it means about Brooke and I, that Brooke was like, this is super cool. And I did not notice this at all for a fucking second.
So cool. I don't know what that means either. Anyway, so Simon, the doctor, is like so pissed about the danger that River was in on this like river planet. And so he decides they are out. And he does ask River if she wants to stay. And she just says, it isn't safe. For them.
For them.
I love River.
Dun, dun, dun.
So Kaylee is like the only one who's upset because she was trying to bang Simon. But the parties separate to go about their own businesses. Don't worry, Kaylee. Shit is about to go down. Because River, like, strolls in while the guys are doing their, like, thieving business situation.
They're in the middle of the handoff. It's, yeah.
Yeah. And
Bad time.
she's suddenly caught by a subliminal message carried by a creepy cartoon that really gave a lot of Powerpuff Girl vibes. We hear her whisper, Miranda. Before she starts to go psychotic, she is suddenly judo chopping everyone in her vicinity. Nobody can touch her. Jane almost gets there, but he survives the ball grasping, but not the punch to the face.
Sorry.
That's what I judged was happening.
And I think I actually just really miss this era of fight choreography in movies. I feel like the 2000s was a time of a lot of Jackie Chan. It's like when Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon came out. It's when there was some fucking
Kill Bill,
good fight choreo.
I loved this choreography. I loved this choreo.
I wonder how much Tamsin was inspired by these sorts of
I hope
scenes.
she was. I really do.
It's the right era, I think. Anyway, Mal gets himself a gun, and it's basically a quick little standoff there because out of nowhere, River also has a gun, and they're pointing them at each other. But then Simon comes out, and he has some magic words that, like, turn her off, deactivate her, and she, like, collapses to the ground. And then Mal, against all better judgment, decides to pick her up and bring her back onto the brings the two of them back onto Serenity.
After you've seen that, he's like, oh, I guess we better bring her with us.
Yeah. And this is all observed on the security feed by the Alliance operative who is after River. And the team ends up flying to consult with Mr. Universe, who is like a hacker and can also access the security feed. And so now the team also knows that River got triggered by the Alliance.
Sex doll robot?
Yes, in a lovely Jewish ceremony. This is like, it's hilarious. It's David Krumholtz, who is both an elf in the Santa Claus. That's where I knew him from originally. And then also he's in 10 Things I Hate About You as like the bestie of...
Why do we know that Santa Claus? But I know who you're talking about.
Anyway, it's really glorious. I also just love Mr. Universe is just a guy who watches TV all day when he's not engaged with his sex bot wife. And I do love that he can theoretically see everything in literally the universe. Like, there's no reason. It's not just that he can access the security feed. He knew where to find it. The known universe surely has much streaming happening. Am I wrong about this? Is this not insane?
Streaming was not a thing when this came out.
That's true. So. I just want you all to know this is the only plot hole. Everything else makes sense.
Didn't know how overwhelming the internet would get. Right, so the Alliance knows that Mal has River, and now they know, the team of Serenity knows that the Alliance is after them as well. And so the thing they do not know is what Miranda means, and River doesn't seem to know this either, because these horrible memories she keeps experiencing that, like, triggered the Miranda word, these memories are not hers. And then, most of all, the Serenity crew has no idea what to do with this, like, now very obviously dangerous girl. And Jane is the one who asks the really good question of, why did Mal bring her back?
But I feel like you made a really good point with her being kind of the Nona, that she is incredibly dangerous. You see her have a tantrum, and it is fucking terrifying. And you also are 100% aware that it's not her. You're 100% aware that she doesn't have control, that she's just a little kid who can't hold it together and needs protection, right?
Yep.
How can you do anything else?
Needs help. Someone needs to help her, and nobody else is going to do anything except put a bullet in her. So they end up escaping out to a safe zone. This is where their former ship resident, and I want to say he's a pastor. I don't actually know the proper term for him. He goes, I think his name is Shepherd, actually.
Shepherd
And they
Book.
live in this, like, Shepherd Book. They live in this nice little closed-off community, and they are very welcomed there, except Shepherd does know something about these Alliance operatives, and he warns Mal that they cannot hide forever from these kinds of guys.
He also asks Mal here what he believes. And I really appreciated that because this is something I used to ask people and people always took it the same way. It's Shepherd Book says, I'm not always talking about religion. It's not, I'm trying to ask you where your center
is. What's your cause?
Yeah.
What's your raison d'etre?
Yes, exactly.
Which is a big question. I guess the two of them. So like, there's a lot of back and forth in the show about religion between the two of them, and morality. So it's a nice little extension. But I think it's kind of like weird and sudden out of the blue in this movie a little bit. But it does set the theme. We are continuing the theme of fighting for a belief, right? But Shepherd is right to be warning them about the operative because right in that very next scene, Mr. Operative is visiting Anara, another former ship resident, also super sexy lady that Mal cannot resist.
Who could?
And we see Anara immediately. No lie, right? Immediately we see that Anara is like super scared of him when he shows up. And the next thing you know, she's sending a video call to the ship and offering them a job. It's an obvious
very
trap.
Obvious trap. An extremely obvious trap. They point out to themselves, this is a trap. And then they walk into it anyway.
And then they're going to decide to Mal decides to walk directly into it wearing a beaded costume. It's great.
You know what?
It's cute.
Great. Love this for them.
Love this for them. The operative is there. Yes, it is indeed a trap. He starts with diplomacy, which I fucking love. He just decides to start by asking for River. And he calls her an albatross. And Mal actually pulls a reference from a poem. It says,
well, the actual thing, they're good luck.
About where, like, yes, we're getting rid of the albatross spells an entire ship's doom.
Yeah, it's a bad idea.
That is amazing. I had to Google it, and it turns out it is a poem. I don't remember who wrote it.
I can't believe we didn't do Meme Watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Meme Watch.
Well, because this is the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner or whatever is the poem, and it's about
Coleridge.
The albatross. Yeah, the albatross are good luck, but if you shoot the albatross or like kill the albatross, then you're getting rid of your good luck. And then that's why the phrase an albatross around your neck, because if you did do that, then it's a shame and you have to carry the dead body around.
Oh, shit. Okay, that's some
I
heavy
believe
shit.
so.
I like all of that. That all fits together.
So we all agree that if Mal had abandoned her, he would have to carry her dead body around his neck for the rest of
Yes.
Well, I've heard she's only 90 pounds.
Yeah,
so
for real. If.
possible. Anyway,
Yeah. Sorry, I have to finish my thought that I was right. The phrase originates from Samuel Taylor Coleridge's famous 1798 poem, The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. And the story is sailor thoughtlessly shoots an albatross, a large seabird long considered a good omen by sailors. As a punishment for this bad deed and to symbolize the guilt and misfortune brought upon the ship, the rest of the crew forces the mariner to wear the dead bird around his neck. So an albatross around your neck is like the visible sign of your shame and guilt and misdeeds.
Bad luck.
But an albatross is not something that you should be trying to get rid of. If you're calling her an albatross, they're like saying like that she was like, what misdeed did you do that you have this visible sign of guilt? And that's not how she came to be on the ship. Anyway, sorry.
I see what you're saying. Great. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Great. So when this whole diplomacy tack doesn't work out very well, the operative changes tacks. He says, I know that you fought in the rebellion war on the other side. And so like outside of asking, I don't see how we're going to like be able to negotiate outside of like violence. Like violence is going to be the language you communicate in. And in fact, the Alliance has warships locked onto Serenity right now. Except whoops, that's a false beacon that Serenity sent out to keep them off their trail.
Oh, I thought it was just, they're like, it's locked onto Serenity's beacon and Mal pulls out the literal beacon. He's like, this beacon? Yes. See, again, we could redub this and it would be incredible.
No, there we go.
This one?
So deprived of this tool, the operative settles in to try a next set of negotiation. And Mal just shoots him.
It's amazing. This is actually, okay, this is a Terry Pratchett thing. The idea that you should, if you're going to go up against someone, you should hope they're an evil man, because the evil man will sit there and monologue at you. A good man will just shoot you without looking, like without just like, nope, gotta get rid of you.
Well, there we are. That's exactly the scenario we have. So it's a brawl now, and Mal has really met his match. It's Silk plus bar fighting versus like highly trained judo. Inara has like unhelpfully thrown herself in once or twice until it turns out the incense she lit is actually a flash bomb. She was just buying time.
She was like, I'm praying for you, Mal, but no.
Go, girl. Flash bomb. So Mal and Inara take this opportunity to escape because they're not bothered by the flash bomb. Only Chiwetel Ejiofor is. And Serenity takes off, now onboarding a slightly put-out Inara and offloading several navsat trajectories to confuse the Alliance as to where their location is.
There we go.
Boom! On ship, River once again dreams of desiccated corpses, and when she wakes up, she remembers Miranda suddenly. Unfortunately, Jane has decided to take her removal into his own hands, but he doesn't stand a chance against her. And so a little bit of chaos happens. We hear a gunshot. River has locked herself onto the bridge. Her brother's not even safe from her at this moment. She like takes a shot at his windpipe and like gut punches him so that he won't speak the magic words to turn her off. And Mal is the one that like climbs through the ductwork to like find her in the cabin, the pilot's like cabin. And she's on the screen identifying this planet as Miranda that none of them have ever heard about. And like this is the planet that like has this vice script on River's like psyche that's just all chaotic right now. And so they're looking at going to Miranda to like kind of figure out what the Alliance has done there that's got her in this like vice grip. And the problem is that they got to get through Reaver territory to get there.
Dun dun dun.
So to buy some time, they run back to Shepard's safe haven. Except that when they arrive there, they find that Shepard's whole settlement has been gunned down.
It's really
so
upsetting,
bad.
actually. It's like pretty devastating because Shepard is amazing, but also the whole community
was
is
clearly
amazing.
a good.
Yeah.
When we got introduced to it, it's like we have no warrants. There's nothing wrong. Everything is perfect. We have the cleanest slate. Nobody has any reason to ever come here. Everything is perfect. Except that they welcomed Serenity.
Yeah.
And so we get Shepard's last words, which again is encouraging Mal to believe in something.
Yeah.
And it's Zoe who realizes that the Alliance doesn't like know that they're there. They're not like waiting for them. They just set out a target on everybody who has ever offered shelter, and all their friends are dead.
It's deeply horrifying, and it's such a classic. I mean, I think I talked about this with Brooke and John when I was opining about Brandon Sanderson's Way of Kings and how it's all just kind of meditation on who gets to decide what violence is allowed for the greater good, right? Because the operative believes that that murdering this entire community full of children and old people, and it's just like that rampant murder is okay in order to keep River from finding any sort of safe haven because she's too dangerous, and it's for the greater good, and he's creating a better world. It's fucking devastating.
Yep. Yeah. And so that is his whole situation, is that he believes he's creating a world without sin, and the Alliance is the means to that end. He is just an evil that is part of the system to create that beautiful world. But he's made an error here, which is that he's killed all of Mal's friends, and so Mal has there's no hostage situation here anymore. And Mal's only mission now is to keep on living and go fuck over the Alliance.
Yes. Mal is like, how fucking dare you? This is like, the irony is, rather than slowing him down, this made Mal commit to the course that the operative did not want.
He had no hostage. That was a terrible idea. You always keep one left in reserve as the threat.
Wow. That was a really creepy thing for you to say.
Okay.
Big mistake. Big mistake if you're going to be super evil. So what this means is they got to go through Reaver territory, and what they're going to do is they're going to dress up their ship like a Reaver unit to disguise it as they go through this Reaver-infested part of space. And so they take the bodies of their friends and like lash them to the front windshield. They paint the outside in red. They like fry the engine so it looks like it's all just on the fritz. And it feels a little bit like the Mithraeum finally, which is what we were going for.
Well, and this is also one of those things where this is very much set up. It's like perspective and your, the theory of relativity, like where you are standing changes everything about this, right? Like we are okay with them doing desecration of bodies because we're on board with their cause.
Yeah.
But honestly, like this is
a really
bad.
good point.
This is fucked up.
This is real fucked up.
This is not like it's acknowledged of like, oh, this is pretty creepy. Oh yeah, this is pretty
They're
crazy.
my friends.
Like
they're our
like
friends.
one of,
yeah.
like somebody like makes the mention of it, and then they just do it anyway, and then we go on and we just like walk past that. And I'm like, I know it's a movie. I know like you can't really sit with that, but also
They could have done something with the memorial scene at the very end.
That's true. But even so,
They gave
there
Shepard
is
it.
something, you're absolutely
like
right.
this is just
There's
one
something
of, yeah, this is
horrifying
just
about
one
it.
of those things where you just kind of like, I find it interesting
Because we know these are the good guys. So
yeah, you just kind of walk past it. You're like, yeah, these are the good guys. And so everything that they do is justified. And you're like, I mean, I guess it's justified because of the means or the ends. But
I feel like
No, it's a
amongst
great
the
point, Marie.
morally gray things that have happened in this movie, though, and this is perhaps coming from a point of naivete, but like dead bodies are dead bodies.
Yep, I feel this too.
oh yeah.
This is
So,
okay, sorry.
in
I
my
have to-
opinion, this is not the severest of their morally gray actions.
agreed.
No.
What this reminds me of is my very firm belief. I have a lot of beliefs vis-a-vis cannibalism to the level that my husband recently was like, you know how
Right.
the Roman Empire is John's Roman Empire? I think cannibalism might be your Roman Empire. Anyway, but it is this thing where I do think, they're dead. It doesn't matter. But it is horrifying. And in a weird way, I think the more horrifying thing is forcing his crew to take
Yeah.
these people that they knew and loved. And,
Right, not
and
doing
do
it himself, potentially.
Yeah.
Being in that mental state and taking opportunity. Yeah, so
But-
he has the doctor do it, who debatably didn't know the people as well.
think
But anyway.
Everybody gets in.
So, okay. This disguise does work. It gets them through reaver littered space. Like, it's just an incredible density of reavers that they're passing through. And the radio is just filled with sounds of zombie screams. It's horrifying. But they make it to Miranda. When they land there, the gravity seems normal. The oxygen levels seem normal. Everything seems fine, except that it's clearly abandoned. And like not too long ago, judging by its state. They also don't even like know the name of this place, which is like super sus. And very quickly, they start finding desiccated bodies. They find that there are no wounds on these bodies, no falls. They didn't fall. And River is starting to crumble. And apparently this is what, she makes some like weird comment at the beginning of the movie that I didn't understand when they like find a River on their ship. And she's like, they never lay down. Well, this is what she's talking about, is like all these people, they just laid down and died.
Yeah.
And they follow this like weak power source to a recording of some like Alliance person's last words on this planet.
It's casually
And
Sarah
they tell
Paulson.
the story.
Amazing actress. This is one of her early roles. Go on.
So the tragedy of this planet was caused by the Alliance, by the G23 Paxilon hypochlorite that they pumped through the AC to calm the people and weed out aggression. And it worked so well that they just stopped breathing. They just laid down and let themselves die. Except that 10% of them had the opposite reaction and it turned up their aggression and they turned into Reavers.
Oops.
I think it was a
Dun,
tenth of a
dun,
percent, but it
dun.
doesn't matter because either way, it was beyond terrifying. And also, I mean, this
Beyond
is the
terrifying.
core of, this is the moral of the story, is you can't force people to be serene. You gotta let them be themselves, right? That this idea of
Right.
creating a better world, you don't get to define.
Creating better humans and
Can't do
making
it.
that decision for them. Yeah. And so the team realizes they got to let the world know what the Alliance is willing to do, the experiments they're running on these planets, and the fact that Reavers are real and Alliance made.
Mm-hmm.
Jane says if you can't do something smart, you got to do something right.
I like that a lot, actually.
Which,
Nope, I'm in.
okay.
Don't think too hard about it.
Okay, I won't.
They do have to still get through all the Reavers again, which is, again, another daunting task. And when they call Mr. Universe ahead of time to, like, let them know they're coming and, like, what's the earliest time we can upload this recording, turns out the Alliance is there waiting for them. And now the Alliance knows exactly where they are, where they're going to pop out, which is going to Mr. Universe. So they have a plan for that. Right when they've almost finished crossing through Reaver territory, they attack. And so this just attack on a Reaver ship recruits all these Reaver ships that are going after them. And they speed off towards the awaiting Alliance army with their accidental army of Reaver ships.
And plus, because it's some sort of like hyperspace situation, there's like this beautiful, beautiful moment when they pop out of hyperspace and the operative is like, haha, you dumb fucks. You came right into my trap. And then all the Reaver ships pop out of hyperspace and he's like, whoa.
This finally throws him off. Like the guy who never got angry, right? You can't trigger this guy. He finally panics. He's screaming, shoot anything!
Shoot the Reavers, target the Reavers, shoot anything. It's beautiful.
We see Wash at his absolute finest. He's doing some incredible flying in between gunfire, ships being torn apart, pieces of ships are falling, not from the sky, through gravity, I suppose, through anti-gravity. I don't know how to describe space stuff. It's
important not to think about gravity in the context of Firefly. This was not a sci-fi. Science fiction.
It just makes it even more complicated to fly because you don't know how things are going to move. There's not a clear direction. He is flying through this and he says, I am a leaf on the wind. And immediately I start sobbing.
Yes.
Watch how I soar. This triggers me. There are t-shirts with this, and every time I see it, it is a behavioral trigger in me of wanting to cry.
Okay. I have a t-shirt that no longer fits me, but I have a t-shirt that's Serenity going through the ship. It's the ship going through, surrounded by like leaves on the wind, and that's it. So it doesn't say anything, but I know.
I would still cry.
Yep.
Yeah. They make it out of the fray, but they're trailed by a Reaver ship, and they're hit by an EMP, which just fries their system. And so they're free-falling. Geez, beyond belief. But Wash still gets her balanced, and they glide in to Mr. Universe's station. He is a leaf on the wind. The Reavers land right behind them, and Wash gets harpooned.
It is the full thing. What the fuck is it? Final Fantasy? What's the thing where the pole
Final Destination.
Yeah. It's, this pole comes through the windshield and stabs Wash all the way through, and it is very sudden. As well as being devastating, it is like you do not see it coming. It's out of nowhere. It's incredibly fucking upsetting.
So I will tell you, I knew that I had watched the series. I wasn't sure that I had watched Serenity. As soon as that happened, I was like, oh, nope, yep. I've watched this. Because that stuck with me. As soon as, at the very beginning, as soon as I saw Alan Tudyk, I was like,
oh, no.
Oh, no.
It is heartbreaking.
Maybe I'm lucky. I wasn't thinking deeply about the fact that this was after the series, and so obviously it was going to happen in this movie, but I was like, maybe not. Maybe I'm making things up. Maybe that was like a fever dream. And then I was like, fuck.
I am just realizing, I'm like, should we have put a spoiler warning at the beginning of this episode? And then I realized, I was like, this movie was made in 2005. If people haven't seen it, that's probably on them.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
It's so upsetting every time.
Yeah.
It hurts me. It's just so sudden. I remember it as sharply every time I rewatch the movie as I did the very first time without expecting it. You can't kill your comic relief like that. But there is no time to mourn right now. We'll be doing that for decades. In the immediate time, they set up a barricade against the Reavers that are coming after them while Mal gets himself up to Mr. Universe's central command station to upload this recording that they have. He learns that Mr. Universe was knifed after their last video call, and his computer system got bombed. But his robo-bride has a message for him, telling him where he can upload the recording. And so Mal just gets this brief head start of the fucking operative who's managed to launch himself out of his failing ship and ends up hearing the same fucking message. Jesus, what a lucky bastard.
You gotta trigger your robot bride to respond to specific phases, not just anybody who comes in. You or like share that message with anybody. Come on.
I agree. And as it turns out, Mal has found something, a belief that he is willing to die for. And he's willing to die for the fact that the world needs to know what the Alliance has done on Miranda. But it's not his plan A. So instead, we have a fight between the operative and Mal. It's this impressive sci-fi tower set. It's got all the usual accoutrement, like giant slicey generator fans that are, for some reason, on the floor as opposed to the ceiling, so that if you fall, you get sliced and chopped up into pieces.
Why is it that every spaceship has just like an enormous chasm that needs to be spanned by a bridge that is usually not there?
Nope. There's no bridge. There's always a central command. It can clearly only ever be accessed by Tarzaning across on a series of chains and wires.
What architects?
It's the usual system. You need to make it extremely inaccessible. That's why it's the backup to the backup.
No further questions. Defense rests.
We watch the operative attempt to bait Mal with the whole same shtick as we saw at the beginning with like that clinician who was in charge of River. Do you know what your sin is? To which Mal's like, yeah, I'm kind of a fan of all 7.
Which amazing line. Okay, so, and I love this because again, Joss Whedon, total douchebag, but he is a great one-liner. He absolutely loves this shit. And I'm sitting there being like, operative, do you do the same monologue on everyone you kill?
I know.
I think so. I think so.
Get some new material, man.
I mean,
but I guess if you're monologuing before anybody dies, like, it's amazing way to just like practice and like get like a good, like, you can just kind of keep like finessing the exact same thing. You don't need to come up with new material.
This is true. And when it's
like,
good,
nobody
and it is
who
good.
alive has heard it.
That's also true. It's new. It's absolutely brand new to everyone. And it is really solid. It is. His delivery is excellent. And then you get Mal fucking it up with his one-liners.
It's so good. He attempts the same like spinal nerve disabling thing, which like Mal pretends works, but then who's like dodges and it's like, yeah, it turns out that like shrapnel disabled that nerve bundle in my first skirmish, which does beg the question of how is he still walking? But
I know. I was like,
move past it.
Sure.
No plot holes. None.
There's no plot holes in this.
And then the operative tries to run through.
That's not even
run
a
through
plot
with the sword.
Hole. That's a logic hold.
Sure. Yeah. Keep going.
Interesting distinction. Okay, we'll follow up on that later.
And so Mal ends up crushing his windpipe, pins him down. It's a huge success for after getting the shit kicked out of him at Inara's place. Meanwhile, the crew is down there battling the Reavers, and there is like some half-assed attempt to try and make the romance out of Simon and Kaylee, although I guess it's not particularly romantic in the end. It just feels like sex.
It's
and
fine.
We can move past this quickly. I mean, this is mostly just doing fan service for the series.
Respect.
Good for them. It's weird. The rest of the crew is not doing well. Everybody is shot or sliced or has taken darts, except for River, who has been huddling in the corner with her hands over her ears. And it takes Simon being shot for her to wake up to her potential. And she just dives into the fray of armed Reavers, tosses Simon his medical bag, and shuts the tunnel, trapping her with all the Reavers. And it seems like she's a goner. We watch her get dragged by this absolute horde of Reavers. Mal comes back from successfully uploading the recording. He goes, report? Where's River? And the tunnel opens up and she's in the fucking goat scene. She's got some kind of a weapon in one hand, some kind of a weapon in the other. She is surrounded by a pile of dead Reavers.
And
at that very moment,
we've got the silhouette, right? The light is coming in, so it's just the silhouette of this girl with her long hair and her dress. She's got an axe. Where the fuck did she find an axe in one hand?
The Reavers, presumably.
Beads of blood dripping off of it in slow-mo. Like, it was glorious.
It's glorious, except that it's extremely violent, and I don't particularly love it. And right at that very moment, the Alliance busts through the walls, and they surround River, asking for the kill order. And the operative has been left chained to watch the Miranda video as it aired live.
Single tear streaming down cheek.
Yep. He gives the order to stand down. He no longer believes.
Well, that's because he was a good guy. He just had bad information, like Marie said at the beginning.
So we have our memorial scene for Shepard, Wash. Who am I forgetting?
And Mr. Universe is actually the other one who's there.
And Mr. Universe! We're very much missing the rest of the bodies from the village that got strapped to the front of the ship. They're there. You have them. Bury them. Respect them. Zoe is wearing the dopest ass white memorial dress, which
beautiful.
I just want to like put out a call there. We should be wearing white to memorials.
Yeah.
I think it feels a lot better than black.
I also-
Personally, like it feels.
I
right.
actually have a whole theory that they like deliberately were bringing in multiple different memorial tropes from different cultures, right? Because they're these platforms, they have little stones on them. That's clear Judaism. There's like, she's got the white dress that comes from a number of different cultures. Some of them are wearing black clothes.
Typically,
there's the fire and the
I expect that it would have been a mixture of Chinese and American, given that that's like kind of the world that we built here. These were the two superpowers that merged in the alliance. Yeah, we haven't really talked about that. That's fine. But so I would think it's more of like these like shrines to the ancestors that are being built, right?
Yeah.
Even maybe more so. Well, though, I mean, it's pretty obvious that Mr. Universe is Jewish, so.
Yep. He is. Again, it was a lovely service. That's Come on.
Anyway, and this is where I have a real problem with the movie. When Zoe never actually like is given a scene of like true proper grievance for her husband. She's just fucking buttoned up this whole time, back to business. It is outrageous. It bothers me super much.
Even
like,
when she like
she's
it,
hard,
like, comes
but
back
she's
to
not
tell,
a lictor.
Right. Even when she comes back to like say like when right after he dies and she comes to tell
makes the most
Mal
sense.
and she's just like he's not coming
He
and
ain't
she just
coming
like
with
moves
us.
on. And you're
Well,
like,
that to me felt like the most real situation of like you compartmentalize to deal with
Because
the
it
problem
has
at hand.
to get
She's
done.
been in war. This
Yeah.
is normal. But like afterwards, where is her scene? She's allowed to cry. Let her cry.
Okay.
Let her have moments. Like show her being vulnerable because this was her husband that she supposedly loved.
I hear you.
And
I
not
do.
just business as usual forever and ever. She's hard, but she's not 10,000 years old hard.
I totally hear you. I do. And I think you're right that the in the moment thing actually I think is really a beautiful, painful thing that you're watching her have to do this thing. There's no room. But I thought this memorial was quite beautiful. Her walking up slowly, holding this torch and this dress, it felt like a moment. It's possible she's not a person who cries, but it felt like a moment of really raw emotion for her, for me. So there was some of that.
Private in the end. Like
Some
I don't,
of that.
I don't
But
know.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong at all.
No, it felt a little bit like these are the perfect women who don't grieve for their lost husbands, whatever. Okay.
Well,
anyway, the team cleans up the ship, gets her back into a, working decent civilian order. The agent warns Mal, the operative warns Mal that the Parliament will still be after them. And they leave on a promise to never see each other again. And there will not be a follow-up movie. Despite that little opening that they left. In the last scene, we see that River is trying her hand at piloting, and it turns out she's a natural, obviously. She takes them off in the rain. Classic. And they still pretend that she's literally psychic and can predict what Mal's thinking.
Wait,
but
what do you mean pretend?
I just I felt like this whole time, like her level of psychic was not actually supposed to be reading people's mind, but
It's like
rather
vibes.
like or just like reading the room, like a little more like the USA TV show Psych style of psychic, or like your Sherlock Holmes.
I love
like
Psych.
skills of deduction. Like they always have like all these pans of like the scenery to like she's picking up clues or something like that. That's always kind of what I got from it.
Yes,
but clearly
there is at least
she
one
must
scene.
be psychic.
There's at least one scene when she's lying on the floor and we're watching someone else have a conversation underneath. I think it's like Inara and Mal, and she's mouthing along with. Like she is psychic. She can hear this, but
she is psychic.
Okay,
Anyway,
okay.
You're right. She must be psychic because that was the whole plot of this movie of she knows about Miranda. But like for me, it was just always kind of like
because that was the plot, and also
for me it felt weird.
okay, it's good.
Anyway, so like right at the end, Mal goes, "What's the first rule of flying?" And it's this great little quote that I don't like. I haven't seen this before, and I don't think I'd recognize it. He goes, "Love. You can learn all the math in the verse, but take a boat in the air that you don't love, and she'll shake you off. Love is what keeps her in the air when she ought to fall down. It tells you she's hurting before she keens. It makes her a home." So it's a movie about love.
I know this is dumb, but you reading that gave me goosebumps. It made me feel really warm. It made my boobs hurt.
It makes your boobs hurt. Anyway, I have one question for you all. Do you think this movie could have been improved with real zombies?
What do you mean real zombies? I thought we had real zombies.
No, they're not real zombies.
Oh.
They're not dead.
Improved? No. I think that they're creepier because they're alive, honestly.
Yes. And because they're ostensibly people doing these things to one another, although they don't seem that way, they really seem like zombies. Yeah.
They are literally designed or described as the worst possible humans all at once, right?
Yeah.
They've turned up every bad feature. Every sin is up to a level 10 out of 10.
No, I don't think we need real zombies.
That.
I don't think we do. And I do think...
But imagine if the skeletons could actually move and fight for you.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. And I'm going to be honest, the only thing that I can think about is the pool of fat that Ianthe has to trap people. And I feel like you could make some real good one-liner zingers that happen after somebody gets trapped in fat. And that is the one thing that I would add that I feel that really could have brought this. Fat traps.
World of script magic to happen.
Oh, sorry. I have to share the dumbest thing that my dear trolley friend said while we were watching this movie. There's a scene at the end. There's a montage of, they're fixing up the ship and everything's going to be all right. And there's nice music playing. And part of it is Kaylee and Simon are having sex, right? And my friend Berto turns to me and is like, he's a doctor. I can't believe he's settling for a tech. He starts cackling at himself. His wife hits him.
But also, like, that is kind of, I'm going to push back on that. I think that many times there's a very specific, like, you can kind of tell, maybe he's right. And I think maybe all of this has to go. I think there's a very specific, like, you either have somebody who has to have, like, as a doctor, you either have somebody who has to have somebody who's exactly at their level because they need to have, like, the grist for the mill. You have to have the two stones. It's kind of like you can't remove one tooth from your jaw. You have to, like, have two teeth grinding together in order to keep things strong.
A pumice and a diamond, the pumice grinds away.
Yeah, I think. Well, like, not like you're grinding away, but literally it's more like the teeth. Like the teeth that push against each other, because otherwise you like lose bone in your jaw.
Okay.
Maybe this, right? Like you can't remove
I didn't know this, but we should skip ahead.
Yeah, you can't.
They have to be the same level
anyway.
Or
you have to be at the same level, or you have somebody whose ego has to have somebody that they are always higher than.
Boy, have I met those people.
Yep. And you can kind of tell
that Simon might be that person. Well, here's my thing. Kaylee is objectively, I think, smarter than Simon. Like, Simon will show up with his little, medical guns and whatever. Fine, done. But Kaylee's the one who can hold a ship together basically with duct tape.
The street smarts concept. No, for me, honestly, this just felt like sex.
I mean, it is. It's not romantic.
Yeah, it did. I don't think this is it didn't feel like a relationship. Like, I don't know about needing to have, like, equal balance in intellect necessarily is no opinion on necessary part of this.
But I really do appreciate the hilarity, the genuine hilarity for me. And it felt like Nona as they're like taking off their clothes and like falling below the pane of where your camera can see. The camera pans up and at the top it's River's face just poking in, looking at them.
I guess I looked away for that.
It's like a microsecond, but she's just like, what?
Creepy.
Yep. Okay.
Well, that's
that was fun. Okay. I mean, this was I realize this is not the locked tomb, but it felt in world in so many ways.
I know.
Many ways.
We've meant to do this and have accidentally taken detours with the Chronicles of Riddick,
into Riddick
on our Patreon. But this was right. Our intuition, once we figured out what our intuition was correct to think that this was in alignment with the Locked Tomb series in a lot of ways.
What we're saying, listeners, is we are never wrong. A wizard is never late.
So yeah.
Well,
do we have a closeout?
No. Goodbye, listeners. We will be back very soon with an episode of Hella Murderboarding, just like murderboarding for days. And after that, it's the Alectopause. The Alectopause is longer than we thought it was going to be, so please keep sending in all of those little, suggestions for what we might want to review or
we
go through.
We do have a lot of suggestions. I think it's basically just time for us to put up a poll and
just do it.
Leave it up to the numbers.
All right. Well, in that case, don't send me any emails at frontline5th@gmail.com or follow us on Instagram or TikTok.
Yes. Check out our social media for a poll so that we can start adding numbers. And don't vote twice. I don't know. We'll figure out logistics.
This podcast is, here's the outro that you normally hear. So just do it in your head. Bye, guys.
Bye.